Welcome to GoTarryn TV. This is Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology, and I'm here today to interview one of my very favorite guests right here on today's show. And before I tell you who he is, I'd like to remind everyone out there, if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now, we're going to be having Billy of the Bump Experiment. He's going to be bumping it up and returning right here on today's video blog. Haven't talked to him for a couple months, so it'd be a great time for us to recap and just chat, just to check in and play catch up to see how everything in his world's going. And you know that this guy is so generous and kind and nice. He's one of the most giving people I've ever met my entire life. And also I'm going to try to see if he can maybe share a couple more inspiring stories with us today. And again, it's just going to be a great way for us to reconnect. I love talking to this guy, and he is just so uplifting. So just wait till he gets back here. And if this is your first time meeting Billy, you're in for a treat. And if you've seen him before, well, again, he's got a couple of new stories that I'm going to try to see if we can get him to kind of share with us here on today's video blog interview. And I'm so happy to hear also that he is doing better. He's recovered since the last time we chatted with him. He's going to tell us a little bit about that as well. So when we get settled in and I get to my destination here, I'm going to go ahead and stop, get out of the car, get into the office, and hit record with my favorite guest, Billy of the Bump Experiment on GoTarryn TV. And remember, with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. Billy, how are you doing out there today?
I'm good. How are you this morning, Terry?
Good, thank you. And thanks so much for being able to be on here. And it's great to catch up with you. And how's life been for you since we last spoke?
It's been good. It's been busy. Coming out of, with all the shots and everything that I chose to get, it's nice being able to be out amongst people. But during the whole, I've still been quite busy.
That's good. That's excellent. And since we last spoke too, I know that you were recovering with some health issues, and how's all that been since the last couple of months?
Really good. I actually just got my final evaluation from my doctor for my car accident, and I'm good to go.
Oh, thank God. Wow. So fully recovered.
Yes. Got a couple of blips that we work on, but yeah, nobody has a clue that I ever had a car accident.
That's amazing. Good for you, Billy. Yeah. So, again, just to make a recovery from that and just to come out of that is just phenomenal. We're so happy and, again, just so grateful that you're okay. And that hasn't slowed you down in terms of work and just, being able to be out there in the community.
Although I do need to slow down. I'll tell you this, though, between having the TIA back a little over a year ago and then having a car accident.
Yeah.
Some 36 months. It makes you appreciate your health and the body's ability to heal. I actually just finished sending a text to someone. And this is early in the morning when we're taping. And I was sending to this young lady who actually had the loss of her sister a couple of then 2 days later, she welcomed her first grandchild, and I said,
wow.
I said to her, in this circle of life, may we always count our blessings and live in gratitude in the midst of loss. And I'm very thankful, and I try to live my life in gratitude. And during this whole process, I'm just thankful because things could have always have been worse. And yeah, I've been busy as ever. Actually, I still need to slow down a little bit, but maybe one day.
Oh, that's great. Well, Billy, you're always so great with sharing some of your, really inspirational stories. And, I always just really learn a lot when you and I get a chance to talk and sit down and do this. So what would you say in this year since we last spoke of 2022? I know that there must have been at least a couple of, really inspiring stories that you want to share. But what's a couple of your favorites that have happened so far this year in terms of, just what's been happening?
Could not have planned this any better. I can tell you two stories in the past week.
Oh, wow. The past week. Gosh. Oh.
I'm at the gas station, and of course, everybody realizes the price of gas is high. And
Yes.
I get gas in my car, and I'm very observant all the time. And I notice a woman putting her card in and out her credit card. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you having problems?" And she says, "My credit card's not working." She says, "I know I don't owe any money on it." And I said, "Well, let me try it." I said, "I've had it happen." So I tried her card, and it wasn't working either. And she goes, "I don't have any money on me." I said, "I'll cover you." And she said, "Would you?" And I said, "Sure." She goes, "I just need $10 to get home on, and I'll give you my or you give me your address, and I'll send you the money." And so, of course, I said, "Oh, of course." And so I took my credit card, and we passed the $10 mark. She goes, "That's enough." And I said, "No, I'm good." And I filled her gas tank up. I put $50 and change in her gas.
Oh,
And
wow.
oh my gosh, she goes, and I was talking to her, and she had children. She's a single mom. And she goes, "I need your address." And I said, "For what?" And she just started tearing up. I said, "This is on me." I said, "Google the bump experiment sometime. I guarantee this woman with a full tank of gas is going to go out and share that story with a lot of people. And when people think in the midst of everything that's going on, they're going to go, wow, somebody actually took the time to care." The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that happened to me earlier in the week is that I was calling on my HSA account, and it wasn't working. Of actually, same thing. So they were going to send me a refund, and I'm talking to the woman. She says, "Boy, your accent sounds similar to mine." And I said, "I'm from North Carolina." She goes, "So am I." And "Well, your family?" She goes, um, "Well, my family is myself and 8 children." I go, "You have 8 children?" I said, "You don't sound old enough to have 8 children." She goes, "Actually, I used to be a foster mom, but I adopted all the kids that I have now."
My God. Wow.
Yeah, she was 54, and she said, "I adopted not, within the past couple of years, 3 siblings that she couldn't see split up." She said, "I just couldn't see 3 kids be split up." So here's a woman
Mm-hmm.
who is raising a family of 8. So I told her, I said, "Do you believe in miracles?" She goes, "Yes." And I said, "Well, look up my website." I said, "You've got my phone number because I just called in. If you feel comfortable, just text me um, a message from you so that I have yours. I'd like to make a miracle happen." And it doesn't matter. I always tell people I don't care about a dollar amount or the amount of time that you use. It could be letting somebody in front of you when you drive, it could be volunteering for a lengthy amount of time. It's just the fact, whatever you think is that little amount, it is exactly what that person needs or whatever you do. Well, once I Zelled her some money and help you buy a lot of groceries. This woman's totally shocked. Here I was on a phone call with her asking for help, and all of a sudden she prize in her bank account to help with groceries. Um,
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's opportunities for everybody, and it doesn't mean that, like I said, it can be anything, Taryn. It can be anything that could help put a band aid on a situation. Probably the biggest thing I've been involved in over the past 6 months has been with the relocation of the Afghanistan refugees here in Georgia. I was asked if I would get involved in the housing needs. So
Mm-hmm.
you have these families, many of them are interpreters, who were helping very soldiers, and they're having to come here with literally nothing but the clothes that they take out of. So when they move here, there's a whole process for housing, for food, for clothing. I mean, they are truly just getting started again, not to mention that there's a language barrier. So that's been very rewarding and very busy trying to help these families get acclimated and fitting into our society and getting to know people.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the coolest thing I've been involved in for the past 6 months.
Wow, you have been very, very busy, Billy. And again, that's so incredible to hear, what the bump experiment does and everything that you do with it. And, it's really cool because you've told me this story a couple times, but if anybody's listening for the first time out there, maybe give, the little long short of it of how bump experiment started and the gentleman bump for those that might not have heard this first time.
When I was 17, I was left a note, an envelope that had $2,100 bills in it. And all the notes said was, if you're ever in the position to do something for someone, be it of your time or money, do it without expecting anything in return. And then it's used for college. I used that money to go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and I worked my way through college, but that $2,000 covered 2 years tuition. Way back then, it was $500 a semester. Did not gave me money for 4 or 5 years, and I would come home to my small hometown in eastern North Carolina, and people would always say, "Oh, Bump asked about you." And I'm thinking, Bump asked about me? Well, Bump was the postmaster in my hometown who knew the heartbeat of the town and everything that was going on. And it turned out he helped lots of people. And about, it was 5 or 6 years later, I went, Bump's the one that left that money. And I attended an event he was at, and he was up against these hedges at the event. And I walked up, and he looked at me and he started tearing up. And I said, "I know that it was you that left the money." And then he teared up some more and gave me a big hug. And I told him that because of your kindness, I will help thousands of people in my lifetime with my time and my money. And about, I guess it's 14 years now, somewhere around there, that I launched the Bump experiment of just encouraging people. And I used for the mission statement the exact note that I was left. If you're ever in the position to do something for someone, be it of your time or money, do it without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, that's such a great story, Billy. And, especially right now with everything that's going on, you mentioned earlier, higher gas prices, but, let's face it, the cost of living, groceries are up. It just seems like right now we're having some economy stuff happening in our country, especially. But do you think it's harder for people to do something like that and be kind and nice when it's like this, or not necessarily?
I think sometimes there's more opportunities to be kinder and nicer because of the busy of our lives and the things that are going, quote, wrong or having tough days, that sometimes we're not as open to seeing those opportunities. But there's more opportunities than ever. And I always tell people there are food struggling. There are schools that have needs. There are tons of opportunities. I think the only thing I would say is just to try and remember that that saying, "This too shall pass." Things will get better, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be tough and it's not going to be hard. But I remember somebody making this comment. I've heard this several times in life. You can make money, but if you have your health, you have everything. So just remember, in the midst of everything, as tough as things are, if you have your health and your family and friends, you do truly have it all. To be very thankful for that there's going to be good times, there's going to be tough times. And unfortunately, we're going through some tough times right now. And I do tell people, look for opportunities to give. And I also tell people when they say I don't have the time or the money, is remember there's a whole lot of people who have no social interaction still. Yesterday, I'm coming home and there's a young lady. I am a sucker if I see somebody, a homeless person. It was a young lady on the side of the road with a pit bull. I rescue pit bulls. So I carry money in my car that I hide in my car, and just for people that I find. And people ask me sometimes, do you think these are all panhandlers? I go, no. Maybe there are some, but most of these people, Taryn, it's very humbling for them to have to stand out on an intersection or a street. And I see more than ever with the sign. There's tent cities all over the place. But this young lady, I slipped her a $20 bill, and I said, make sure you eat, make sure your dog eats too. And she just said, thank you, and was very touched. She was surprised because I think any amount's great, but people are probably used to somebody giving them $1. Enough people get $1, possibly get meals for a couple of days. But, I just think, wow, there's tons of opportunities. But also remember, it costs nothing for you to say hello. It takes no time and costs no money. And your hello might be the only hello that person gets all day long.
Oh, yeah, you're so right about that, Billy. And, also when we first started talking at the beginning in today's video blog, when you were mentioning about, the health issues and the car accident, you talked about, how exercise was important and, the staying healthy and your fitness. How's that been for you in terms of being able to, work out and, make sure that you're getting your exercise in? Because I know it's very important to you. But have you been able to do everything you needed to?
I'm back full throttle now. It was
Good.
in the beginning, I had a lot of physical therapy for balance issues, Taryn. But
Mm.
also one thing that I think there wasn't enough emphasis, and this is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
The healthier we are,
Hmm.
mentally, physically, and spiritually, the better we are able to take on the curveballs that life throws us. And during this
Yes.
time of COVID, you will notice many people who were affected detrimentally. It was due to they were not in a great sense of health. They had many health issues and complications, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that being healthy protects us from anything, but I do believe that it helps us in the healing process. And I do know that because I did take good care of myself prior to everything, that it did help expedite my ability and my body's ability to heal. And also, your attitude goes a long way. Um,
Yes, definitely.
that when life throws you curveballs in any direction, the attitude helps. But yeah, I've been back in the gym. I've actually dropped about 13, 14 pounds. I said I haven't been this thin in about 30, 40 years.
Oh, cool.
And I really needed the weight, but I decided to fine tune myself through diet. And once I thought, well, you know what? Now that I'm fine, I'm going to be the best me that I can be.
That's a great attitude, and you're so right. Attitude is everything, and the working out, fitness certainly goes a long way with helping kind of the mental state. And with the weight loss, Billy, was that intentional that you wanted to do that, or is that just some effect that came out of just being the best version of yourself?
One of the things that the doctors had told me when I had the TIA is that sugar and caffeine were not my friends.
Ah, mm-hmm.
So I eliminated as much processed food. That doesn't mean that I don't eat a piece of cake or eat something that comes from a box occasionally, but I can tell you, never paid this much attention to what I'm putting in my body. And I'm pretty much am drinking water all the time. And any of the viewers out there, I would tell people,
Mm.
water runs your body. It runs your system. I understand people like their coffee. I've never been a coffee drinker, and people like sodas, but I drink water 99.9% of the body time, and that just literally feeds the body. But sugar was the big thing, Taryn. And once I got having that sugar, boy, does the weight just fall off you.
Mm-hmm.
At least it did for me.
Yeah, I mean that's really, really good. Such a testimony. And I remember, Billy, when you and I first met, I had mentioned about our mutual friend, Dr. Favette, being a dentist. I said, Billy, you've got the whitest teeth that I've ever. I said, what's your secret? And I think that was the first thing you told me was I don't drink coffee, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'm his poster child for white.
You really are, absolutely. Well, so definitely nutrition, very important. Being able to exercise and just get the workouts in. That's helpful for sure. And you mentioned attitude and stress also is important. How do we keep stress down and manage our stress? Because that seems to be such a big challenge for a lot of people.
I think you got to find time to have fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, there's a key thing that from training term. People always think when you talk about working out and training, they always think it has to involve going to a gym. No, it doesn't. Take walks. Get the bands that you can use at home. Get yourself 2.5-pound weights, 5-pound weights. People always think when it comes to their health, they've got to go from 0 to 10.
Mhm.
When says I need to lose 50 pounds, I tell them, no, you don't. You just need to lose 10. Lose and celebrate that victory, and then worry about losing the next 10. Because many times, whether it's weight loss, whether it's difficulty in life, we try to go from 0 to 10 and think our success is in meeting the end goal of 10 instead of enjoying the small victories along the way. And the more small victories you have, the more confidence you gain and the better ability you have to sustain your success. I always tell people, just because we call it a failure, what you consider being a failure may very well be a setup for success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I tell people, get out there and walk. That takes absolutely, get the fresh air. Find an old, I'll tell you what, something during the COVID times when at first we were cooped in is that I started watching some old shows back from my childhood and Mayberry RFD, Bewitched. I mean, there's just little Mr. Ed, Green Acres. I haven't seen those in a million years that I chuckled at. It just reminded me of good times from when I was much younger. But I am glad that we all have the options for shots now if we choose, and
Yeah.
I'm glad to be fully boosted myself. I still have great respect for the healthcare workers.
Yeah.
Having been in the hospital and seen a zillion healthcare workers over the past year, that the dedication they have, I'm very, very thankful for all of them.
Yeah, you're so right about that too, Billy. Thank goodness we take the little things for granted, but oh my goodness, what a crazy couple of years it has been. And it's funny because when you were saying about the going out for a walk or grabbing hand weights, one of the first things that closed down here in Atlanta were fitness centers and gyms.
Sure.
And a lot of people were like, oh my God, what do I do now? But I think if anything, it really opened people's eyes to how many different ways you could be creative and be able to, like you said, your examples of going out on a walk, grabbing some hand weights. There's so many ways that people could really, be creative in terms of being able to just be healthy, get some exercise in, and just enjoy, stuff that they wouldn't typically normally, and it really, puts a different perspective on it. But in addition to, things like staying at home and watching old shows and stuff, you also heard probably about people who got into different projects and gardening and things around their home and such. And so I think that's a great way for people to kind of see the silver lining of, something that was just so crazy when it first happened.
And I think we found a lot of people became entrepreneurs on their own just because of being home. They came pretty good things, on all levels, and they published and printed on many platforms, many going on to leaving their jobs and creating their own businesses because of this. Had this not happened, they would not have found what was potentially their passion.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot too. In my world, commercial big fitness centers were hit the hardest. They really were. And it's funny, using the analogy of in my industry, it was always the big, giant commercial corporate gyms that came in and drove the little small mom pop gyms out of business. And when this whole thing happened, we saw that the big gyms were the ones that were hurt the most because of many different factors, of course, and they lost so much money, being a busy commercial gym and people being kind of paranoid about being around a lot of other people in a crowded area. And so in the personal training industry, for example, my own business went way up because people were relying on either me to come to their home, meet them at a park, or even do like you and I are doing, like a virtual workout. There were so many opportunities for someone like myself that I would never have guessed that would have happened. And it's amazing because even in the little health and fitness world, I've heard so many stories about different fitness trainers, instructors who have left big gyms and have done their own thing and have just said they've been busier than ever. Their businesses have exploded, like doing online training, for example, or, things like that we typically wouldn't have done before. It really made us think outside the box, I think.
I agree. I have friends that do full yoga now, that they used to go to yoga studios. Nothing wrong with doing a combination of that.
Yeah.
You can be at a yoga studio or at a gym, but still, use other platforms to supplement, especially with our time now. I mean, a lot of people now, because we were cooped up, are trying to double time to make up for what they perceive as lost time. And there's just lots and lots of different avenues and platforms that we weren't aware of. I will say I'd like to think that I found many times for some people, unfortunately, the past couple of years have been very isolated and very polarizing for them. And I'd like to think that now that we get out and mingle with one another, that I always tell people you don't have to agree or approve of everything, but everybody deserves kindness, respect, and equality. And if you take the time to talk to someone and truly talk to them, and not dismiss them because of where they live or what they drive or what their politics are. I stay very neutral, Taryn. The bump experiment is just a kind-free zone that is apolitical. I just don't express views on things. I express views on kindness, on ways that we can come together because I do believe wholeheartedly of Maya Angelou's quote, as humans we're more alike than different. We just need to take the time to talk to someone to find out about those similarities instead of automatically assuming all the differences.
Huh. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's been a race for the polls as far as politics are concerned. You've got one end that goes this way and the other end that goes, the other direction in terms of like any case you could think of, whether it's wearing masks, the vaccine, abortion, etc. Just it seems like no common ground that people want to come to, but they just are so polarized and divided. I definitely stand on this. I know I stand on that side. Well, you're not my friend. Well, I'm not going to be friends with you on Facebook. And it's really sad that that's happened. But what you said is so right. I mean, I wish people could be more like that.
I hope in time, I'm forever the optimist and everything. I just hope our leaders realize that they do represent the people and not their own views. I don't care what party they're in.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people I'll argue with the best Republican or argue with the best Democrat. And I joke with them and I said, I just like to see all the politicians come together. And for myself, I'd like to see term limits so that we always continually have an influx of new ideas every X amount of years. And it's funny, no party's going to ever agree to that, Taryn, because everybody likes to stay in power. It's about power, folks. It's about purpose. And our purpose is to make our lives better. And that's better for everybody, not for one party or one segment of society, but again, kindness, respect, and equality for everybody. And that comes from our leadership. And I think they need to practice those very principles to help make us a better and stronger country.
Yeah, so very well said, Billy. I can't see how anyone could disagree with what you just said. I mean, it just makes complete common sense. And we just hope that everyone can get on the same page. Again, this has been so much fun, Billy. I want to ask you a few more things too. This year has gone by so fast, as we could see. We're almost near the halfway point of this 2022. For the rest of this year, what's your forecast and objectives and goals that you're foreseeing, both in the short term and also in the long range of what you'd like to accomplish?
Well, for myself, it's truly been, it just started a couple of weeks ago, Taryn. I decided I need to quit working 7 days a week. Everything that has gone on, I have still, between both injuries that I've had or health crisis, I went back to work immediately instead of allowing myself the proper amount of time to heal. I finally slowed down to 6 days a week, and every other week 5.5 days. And eventually I'd like to go back to what I'd like to think is somewhat normal of working 5 days a week, because I still have my work and then I have to balance the bump experiment. At some point, I would like to be able to devote even more time to the bump experiment, promoting it, because the more people that are practicing the principles, I think, that help make it better, that's my goal. I'd like to think at the end of this year that the quality of my life is improved by doing more me time. There's an analogy of a tree. There's a book called The Gift of Taking. It's written by someone here in Atlanta. I forget the author's name, is chiropractor, but it talks about in order for a tree to bear fruit, it has to get nourishment from the ground, take in sunlight, take in nutrients. So I would be the tree. Well, if I'm not taking the time to take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to bear fruit. And that's the fruits of my labor of helping others. And sometimes I get so busy getting involved, helping, that I forget I got to take care of myself as well. And that's not a bad thing. But I still am going to do a better job of taking care of Billy. But I won't forget, trust me, I'll do more than my fair share of helping others. But I think all of us need to be the best we can individually, because when we're the best we can be individually, the best position we are to help others and to give to others, and just to overall mentally help, physically help. You're just in a better state of mind to help others when you're the best you.
Yeah, no question about it, Billy. And I like your goal of being able to cut back on work. It's so funny because a lot of times that goes against commonly you hear people like, oh, I can't wait. Next year I'm going to make more money. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work a lot more hours. But I think you're definitely what we like to say, working smarter, not harder. So that's a great way to do that. And like you said, you have to reinvest in yourself. There's no more important than yourself, and we know that. And it's just so critical to do that, especially at a time like this. But Billy, this half hour flew by so fast. Before we let you get out of here, if you don't mind, can you provide us all the information and contact info for both yourself and also the bump experiment, if people have not heard about that before?
You can just Google thebumpexperiment.com. On Instagram, I'm the Bump It Up guy. Also, the Bump Experiment on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
All the links are on the home webpage, and you can follow the Bump Experiment.
Perfect. Well, Billy, I have a feeling that the next time you and I chat here in the next month or so, we're going to have some more stories to share with us that are just so touching and just so nice to hear, all the great things that you're doing. And it really is that whole circle of karma, so to speak, of what you're doing. If people could be more giving, kind, nice, and do everything that you're instilling with the Bump Experiment, what a really wonderful world this would be.
Well, thanks, Taryn. I always tell people, if we'll take the time to look away from our phones because we're so glued to their phones, there's tons of opportunities to get to know people, to help people, to see people instead of seeing a screen.
That is one definite, it drives me nuts when I go to a restaurant or whatever, and you see people waiting for their food to come, and all the parents' kids, they're all just sitting there looking down, and it's just so sad at their phone. And I'm guilty of it myself. I'm going to try myself to do a better job of not being addicted to that. That cell phone addiction is a true phenomenon for sure.
I just try to encourage people is that people look at their cell phones as they walk across crosswalks, and I go, folks, if there's ever a time to look up, it is crossing a crosswalk. So folks, pay attention. But yeah, I do say look up. It's amazing there's a whole world out there besides our little phones that we look at.
Yeah, that's true. Good advice. Look up and make sure to keep bumping it up. And you do that so well, Billy. Keep up all the great work you're doing. And again, thank you so much for your time. And as we fade to black right now, we'll put your website on the screen. And let's do this again next month, Billy. Again, I love catching up with you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Taryn.
Thank you.